Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming along today. I've got my colleague Angus here, who is working with our providers at the moment and new clients. But today, what we're going to be doing is taking you through Autogen AI. For our DES friends that didn't get a chance to see us at the recent DEA conference, this is for you, but I did get to see a couple of names in here that we did connect with at DEA. So thank you so much for coming along for another look today. After the session, you are absolutely welcome to get in touch with us. We will circulate an email address for follow-up contacts, but we will also share this recording with you all. So with those little housekeeping things out of the way, we'll step you through the product now. So Autogen AI is a generative AI-enabled solution which has been designed specifically by bid writers for bid writers. Our founder was a seasoned tender writer and knew all of the problems that bid writers faced throughout the process. So you'll see that come through in the design for the product as well. It is specifically designed for competitive bidding landscapes for organisations that bid to government. So security is absolutely at the forefront of the way that this system's been designed. So if you do want any information on the security posture, we are more than welcome to send that to you. We are very open to sending that to you. It is ISO accredited and we've got SOC 2 as well. So with the system, we have a number of functionalities that take us through from the preparation phase of the bid process, which no doubt all of you that are bidding for DES have already started, through the writing, the reviewing, and ultimately the research as well that can happen throughout the way. The latest addition to the product is bringing a team together. Now we are familiar that most of you will band together teams internally and potentially recruit the assistance of external bid teams. However, this product can really reduce the costs that you need to bear for external providers by giving you an opportunity to bring your team in and write together using the generative AI technology. So just to take you through the beginning of the process, when we're preparing for the bid, we've got this extract functionality that enables us to simplify, synthesize, and summarize the complex, lengthy bid documents. And that might be for summarizing to brief an executive or a team on the brass tacks of what's in the bid. We can also extract many different areas of the bid that can help us identify key themes or key requirements and timelines within the bid. And we can do the shredding. So shredding is taking out the wills, the shoulds, the musts from within the bid specification to help us hone in which ones we're going to prioritise and which ones we might just keep till the 11th hour. So having a look at the summarise functionality to start with, we load in the document and it is intended to have the tender documents, but you can actually have all of the industry reports that come out as well to help you analyse what's in those as a high level. And once you select these buttons, so whether it's the summarise or the extract button or the shred, it generates an output. So for this demo, just to save you with the loading, I did pre-prepare what the outcome looks like. So the extract of commissioners' priorities is essentially just the important or salient points right throughout the bid. So it will lift those sections into a synthesized or kind of summarized point. So as you can see, it maintains the structure of the bid document. However, it just lifts it into a more succinct way to help you digest that information quickly. And that's really good if you are helping people get across the high level points or the important facts throughout the bid, rather than them spending hours and hours reading the minutiae of each detail, which no doubt you'll need to do anyway. The summary page is just that. So it is a kind of like an executive summary type format. So this will then assist in kind of getting that first draft that you might then present to maybe an executive audience or such. Now, with the shred outcome, this is one that I've prepared using the 2018 tender. I should have kind of led with that. We've used the old tender, the previous one. As you can see here, it gives us an opportunity to manage the keywords in here. And then we can, again, as mentioned, prioritize the rows or the sections of that document, and that's pulling it out verbatim from the specification. We also have the Ideator. Now, the Ideator is a great place to come if you're starting to think about storyboarding or strategizing at the beginning of the bid. So now would be the time that we would expect you might be doing that. Naturally, most of you are well and truly experienced DES providers, but you might be wanting to rejig some of your strategies or have a look at what else you could do to, I guess, lift or bring new strategies into the next contract round. So this part of the product does give us an opportunity to talk about the different AI platforms that sit behind the system. The library AI is where the gold is really behind this product, because it enables you to tap into all of your past bids or collateral that you've gathered, such as case studies, internal policies, procedures, industry reports, anything that you've loaded up into the library within the system will be semantically searched based on what sort of question or input that you're putting into the system. The creative AI is literally the large language models verbatim. So if any of you have had experience with open source generative AI tools or chat opportunity chat platforms, this is kind of that purest form of the large language models. So it's not referenceable and it could be inclined to make things up, but it is a great place or source to use if you are starting to ideate. The Internet AI does the same thing as the library AI, but it's going to the live internet. So think about the Google searches that you might do to start doing your research. This system essentially does it for you, but it drills right into a wide array of websites to retrieve some ideas off the back of those. So with the referenceability of the product, so with generative AI, the challenge that we need to overcome is that it can hallucinate. It's not referenceable if we're using just the large language models. So this product essentially has an approach that will again, search through and give you the reference from which that output is based. And then these are actually links to load the document. So with this idea of human in the loop, the system is never going to replace the human, but it is going to give the human the tools to make a judgment or a call on whether or not that output's going to be accepted. Same with the internet. As you can see, we've got the website from which this idea was generated. So the concept of this section is that we can move some of the ideas over into the right-hand side and essentially put them on the table as part of the strategy or ideas formulation sessions that you'll have as a team. Or you could start to write some responses based on these ideas as well. So next up, we have the editor. But what I'm going to do is just show you what this can do in the drafts area. So in the drafts area, we've got the opportunity to work on several tasks at once. So just as an idea of how this section is built, so we have the expand functionality, and this is where you'll start to build out your responses. And then we've got a swathe of linguistically engineered buttons that will generate the highest quality output depending on what you're working on. So what I'm going to do is take you through the projects area and show you how we can build out these responses using these functionality buttons. So here I've designed a project that will essentially demonstrate the way that you could bring a team together in this system. We've got the details of the bid specification. We've got some team members as well that will have access to this. And then we're starting to build out the different assessment criteria that your team would be working on. And as well, we've assigned these assessment criteria to certain writers. Now, if you have a tiny team as well, that's totally still fit for purpose in here because it does give you the opportunity to come in and help each other working across the answers as well. As you can see, we've also got statuses that will help us move through the different stages that these responses follow. But without further ado, I'll jump into what the editor looks like within the projects. So part of building out our responses, the whole intent of this product is to help you draft an informed, credible response in a fraction of the time so that you can focus on that high value cognitive tasks, which might be inserting more strategy and inserting any new requirements that you want to cover. But essentially, this one, past performance, was a question around individualized disability or employment services. So what we can do here is literally lift the question out of the bid specification, paste it into the product, and then flip it into our organisation will or is going to or we are experienced in. So we just turn it into a commitment-based statement. And the idea is that these buttons enable us then to start to build out our first draft using our past performance as inputs. So if we do expand, for example, we have the option to ask it to look into library, which for a past performance example will absolutely be relevant. But we also have the option for creative and internet AI. And this would be particularly helpful if we're elaborating on new service delivery strategies, perhaps in new specialist cohorts that we haven't got a lot of past performance or evidence to back ourselves up. But I'll just remove that for now. We can also start with a number of words here, because generally what we're wanting it to do is look for relevant content within our library and start to tell us a bit about what we do to address these requirements. And over here, what it's doing is generating unique text every time. So as part of these outputs in the system, you're never going to see the same composition of words more than once. It's unique every time. And what's also happening in the background is everything that I'm putting in and what's coming out is not leaving the environment that I'm working in. So none of this training the large language models, none of this repeating other people's work, that doesn't exist in this product. It's been specifically designed to make sure that the competitive landscape remains as such. So we've got the library AI here, as we saw in the Ideator. It's produced a first draft of what we do based on what it can find in the library. And again, human in the loop makes a decision as to whether that's about right. Now, generally at this point, we would expect it to hit, a bit of a building block. So if we have, we're working through how of what we do and we might want to elaborate on how we do it, because obviously we need to demonstrate our methodologies and approaches that have been working in the past. We have this great button in here called Explain How, which dives into that level of detail. So again, if we have something in our library that can draw on, that's fabulous. It will elaborate on it using that. But maybe we don't have something as well. So that's where the creative AI and the internet AI can be gold for us as well, because it will set out, a structured approach and that we could insert, and it might be something we want to freshen up in what we do. But again, we do have access to the library AI that can pull out what we've been doing in the past. We love the creative AI here as well to help with mobilisation planning, as if we are doing new things and we need policies and procedures written up quite quickly once we win the contract as well. So library AI, if we're moving this over and we're pretty happy with what this looks like, we could bring it over here, and essentially we're starting to build out the blocks of our response. We've got the what we're doing, we've got the how we're doing it, and then we might want to be adding some case studies to back up our statements. As we know, the government loves their case studies. So what we can do here, depending on you know, our library of case studies, we have also got a button with the case studies. So what it will do is, based on what I've highlighted, it will look for specific content again that will build out where we've done that before too. And once we've got the case study that we want, and again, just to reinforce, we still have Internet AI here. So again, if we want to demonstrate a new strategy that we're doing has been working somewhere else, you can draw one from the internet. So once we've added the case studies that we like, we may end up with, you know, a good number of a bit of content, and this is where we would start to find that we'd be inserting certain things as the human to finish us off from maybe getting from the 70% in the product, and then padding out that remaining 30% with your knowledge of the industry and understanding of what strategies you're going to be employing throughout the program. But say we've got to the end of it and we've generated 5,187 characters. For those of you with good eyesight, hopefully you can see that down here as well. So with the content, we would typically find that we need to do a couple of things at this point, and we can come back into the product to refine and edit this text as well. So we've got some great buttons up here, and I'll just focus in on a couple of them for now. The first one is the word and character count. So the word and character count is, as we all know, there's really specific character counts in the department's bids. So here what we would be doing is using this to help us cut it down to size. So say if we've done part of the response and we're only wanting, say, 4,800 characters, that's very specific, but we'll just go with that for the purpose of the demo. So what it will do is then read through the text and then recut it to meet those as close as possible to that character count that we've put in. So this one, naturally, I'm sure if you've written a bid before and at the 11th hour you're having to redefine character counts, word counts, that sort of thing, it takes away that labour-intensive work from you having to do so. The other options that we've got here include the word cutting. So if you've got someone in your team helping you with content creation, but it's just a bit verbose and you're wanting to remove embellished words and things like that, you do have the option to remove adverbs, adjectives as well, just to make it a bit more succinct. And the product gives you an option as to whether you want to keep or remove the ones that it would strike out as a result of that. So I might just move this one over. And as you can see, I'm not sure if I pointed out, this bar on the right-hand side gives us some options to play with as well. So if we are wanting to have a choice of what those different outputs might be, we can play around with those as well. Now, as we know, the department has very clear priorities set for this new reform-based delivery of services for the disability employment. We do have incorporate which enables us to set up a bit of a run sheet of what those priorities are. And say at the end of the writing process, you're happy with the substantiveness of the response, but you're really wanting to emphasize one of the minister's priorities throughout that response, because maybe it's not quite hitting the mark. So we have increased flexibility and individualized supports as one of the priorities. So let's say we really want to emphasize that a little bit more in this first draft response. We can hit incorporate, and what it's going to do is start to weave that through the writing. We do have the option to show difference as well. That will help us again make an informed decision about which option we want to choose. As well. So once we've got our answer to our bid response, what we can also do is come into the review part of the product. Now, the review section is particularly helpful in checking off whether we've actually addressed or responded to the question. So on the right-hand side, we've got bid-specific criteria, and the design here is to give the writers an opportunity to sanity check their responses before sending them up to whoever the senior stakeholder is to review the responses. We've got the criteria here, and the intent here is that we put the question in, we add the requirements for that question, and then we put the answer in here. And what we want to then do is review the content. So what the system's going to do now is do a scan through the response in relation to the question and the requirements that we've configured, and produce some suggested improvements to that response. Now, it's entirely up to whoever is looking at this to accept or reject the suggestion, but it's a great way to just pick up anything that's been missed as a first pass with that response. Now, with the research section of the product, this is amazing in giving you access to hone not only through your library, but the internet as well. So this is a great example of what you might do to start doing some broader research around similar, deliverables interstate or nationally, but you could also do some research into areas that you are not yet delivering and help build out your library using this section. So for example, we've got a question in here around delivery of services throughout a number of different countries. And what I can do is build out the countries that I want to have a look at and do an internet search, let's say, on that in there. Say we also want to do a particular, like a check on a particular cohort of individuals. So say we've got a question, just as an example, how many older Australians are living with a disability? This is also something, say we've got data in our library. So say, for example, we might have loaded up the latest ABS data, which was released a week or so ago. We could also start to tap into that using Research Assistant. So once we've built out some questions in here, the design is that it will go into either the internet or the library, and you could do both of them. And it will generate a bit of a report for you to then review those outputs. Now, what it's doing over and above a Google search, for example, if we're using Internet AI, is it's going to go through the whole swathe of websites and write you a synthesized response on that answer. So for example, I'll just bring up this one. This is one we've obviously asked for information across an array of areas. And what it will do here is give us the variables in different sections, but also give us the sources for where this text has come from. And as you can see, we've got some really credible resources in there as well, from government websites. And that's part of this as well. So if you are looking for particular types of websites and things like that, this will give you the information you need to make that assessment as to whether you can fact check it. Now down here, this is an example of the library AI. And many of our clients at the moment use this to help knowledge management. So they'll load up their internal processes and procedures. So say if you've got an Indigenous participation plan, which we all need to respond on in the responses, this is an area that you could also gather a synthesis of what that is. But this one as well goes into the library and it can find where this answer resides and produce some unique outputs for you to use. Now, the output of this research assistant is kind of twofold. You can load it into your library so that your writing team has this at their disposal to retrieve during their response building. Or you could actually start a response by taking these responses into or outputs into the editor to start to see how that can add credibility to your responses as well. Now, we're almost at time for the demonstration, but I just wanted to show you a bit about the library as well. So down in the library, if we click in here, you'll see that it takes the form of a standard file structure. So, for example, if you do want to start to build out your different repositories or files, what we would typically see is if you are a provider that has multiple government contracts, you may have a folder for each area, and then you might have a global folder in a sense that houses all of your general information, such as policies, procedures, governance frameworks, and stuff like that. And most importantly, obviously, the department or the industry reports that are released that inform all of these statistics that you'd be writing based on as well. Now, the great thing about this product too, in that is that you can kind of hone in, if you are doing library AI content, you can tell the system that you want to look at certain content to build out your responses. So say, for example, you're just wanting to focus on case studies for the particular writing task that you're on, you can do so. And maybe you just want to look at past bids as well as part of that. So you do have the flexibility to build that out as well. So that's the end of the demonstration for today. I just wanted to check if we have any questions in the Q&A that we can address live. Okay. Doesn't look like we have any questions there at the minute. So please don't be shy if you do have any questions. It is on anonymous as well. To help out. Okay. Great. All righty. So what we might do is wrap up there. I will stop my share. As mentioned at the opening, this is a product that is designed for employment services environments. So if you do want some more information on how this will help you in the upcoming DES bid. It is the time to start writing and preparing. So no better time to onboard using Autogen AI as well. So please do get in touch if you have any questions or want a bit more of a tailored deep dive into the product to work out whether it's right for you. But thank you so much for taking time out of your day. And we will, oh, sorry, I've got 2 questions coming up in here. Does Autogen AI, so what is the cost? We can absolutely have a look at that offline if you'd like, or maybe Angus, if you want to have a bit of a steer on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We really need to understand your unique requirements as an organization to talk about the investment required. So I can just get in contact with Jess or I after this, and we can schedule a call, and we'll be happy to walk you through that.
Amazing. Thanks, Angus. So does Autogen AI only cover grants, or is there an opportunity to use the AI in other parts of the business? 100%. So we naturally, or at the moment, we would typically start in the bid teams, but it is very soon after that we would roll out into marketing teams and HR teams as well, because what the product can do is help generate content which is based on anything that you need it to be. The editor is quite flexible, and we do have a variety of different use cases. So if you want to have a bit more information on that, we are able to circulate that for you after the session. Yes, so could case studies be generated by Autogen AI based on dot points? Yes, and that is the intent. So with the case study collation, we all know how challenging it is to kind of lift the writing into submittable text. So with the case studies, the way the library works is if you gather the inputs from the sites, they could be in bullet points, they could be really quick drafts and just thrown in an email. As long as the text is discernible and it is filed in the library AI, it will find it if it's relevant to the text that you've highlighted. Thank you. Any other questions? Fabulous. Well, again, thank you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and we will hopefully hear from some of you soon. Take care and best of luck.
Thanks everyone for joining.